Welcome back to The Local Show, a service of Gettys Federal Savings and Loan and Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in Central New York. The Local Show, locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now, here are your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We're back into it and back at it. That means you are too. Thank you for joining Tom and Steve on The Local Show right here on 570 WSYR. You can also see us on the YouTube channel, Zoey Advertising 3809. That's YouTube behind the curtains and all sorts of... I really get a gas out of watching some of the older ones and seeing how fat and ugly I am. It's just amazing.
It is amazing.
And other than that, I like some of the interesting guests.
It is, and it is looking behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 10 or 15,000 folks that hear us every weekend or whatever the number is these days. But when you see it, it's a little different element.
Right. Yeah. It's fun. You look good. You always look happy and
I am happy, Tom.
You're like JoJo.
I'm not faking it.
JoJo the Circus Clown or Steve
true.
Roberts. Either
that's
way.
Fine. Nope, that's fine.
It's our pleasure right now to bring on a new guest. His name is Dave Skeval, and he's from Cornell Cooperative Extension. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great. And to our radio audience, don't let Tom fool you. He's a handsome man.
Thank you, buddy. What's the name of your singer?
Zoey.
Okay, just checking.
Oh, that's something else. Dave, thank you so much for being here. Cornell Cooperative Extension, a great organization that's been around for quite some time. Let's get your background real quick. If you can give us a 30-second synopsis, where you came from and where you are now.
Sure. I'm on my fourth career, but 25 years I spent in the woods as a professional forester, owning a consulting business at the end. And basically my legs got old and tired, and I knew I needed to make a segue. And I really loved what Cornell Cooperative Extension did. I got to interface with them when I would help with workshops with landowners, and I just saw it as such a pragmatic thing that they do. I did consider actually going back and getting a doctorate, but I was really into teaching and education. And because of the way Cornell Cooperative Extension and its mission, it's just such a pragmatic thing in this world.
What do they do?
So in a nutshell, our land-grant university in New York State is Cornell University. And so we provide this function of assessing what Onondaga County needs and going down to Cornell and seeing what they have on the shelves in the way of research, and basically coming up with a way to translate that research to bring it down to the ground level for pragmatic
Needs
use.
for what, though? Are you talking grocery shelves, food? What are we talking about when you say needs?
Sure. So 4 main program areas. Agriculture is probably our base area of topic. And that was probably when Cornell and the land-grant universities were established. It was all about agriculture in this country because... Right. Look, the late 1800s, obesity wasn't the issue. People starving to death was actually the issue.
Yeah. Stop looking at us.
Yeah.
He looked right at me when he said obesity.
I caught it. Yeah. I did see that.
So this whole concept of a land-grant university and establishing universities in our states that would focus on agronomy and agriculture was a big deal to us in the late 1800s. Got really good at doing it. Created all this research, but if you can imagine yourself in Onondaga County back in 1900, if you wanted to find a better way to manage your dairy herd, well, okay, you'd get on your horse and your buckboard or whatever, and it would be a 3-day trip there and back.
Yeah.
So now imagine you're up in Potsdam, New York, and you're going to Cornell.
Sure.
So really, it was an issue of geography back in the early 1900s. And this whole idea of like, okay, why don't we actually put people that are the experts, the agents, out into the counties? And it was such a successful idea that our first ag agent for extension was in Broome County, New York in like 1904. It was such a positive experience. Every county in the U.S. within 4 years had an ag extension agent. So literally, and our name is the word extension. It literally means taking that research and extending it down to the ground level.
Okay, that now makes sense because I've heard of it forever. I know our friends in New York State Maple are involved, and I've been to the Arnott Maple Farm down there and different things. But you're an extension that helps, in this context, agricultural folks connect the dots and do what they do better. Is that fair?
That is absolutely spot on. And so now we got to blow that out to our other topics. So natural resources, the environment, health and nutrition, and then, of course, 4-H youth development, one of my very favorite things. That's one of our things, too. So I like to tell people, don't think of us as just the ag people or the farm people. Think of us as a function. And whatever you can kind of imagine needs help with, we can just about cover everything, every topic.
What was your involvement with the New York State Fair this year?
So something new at the New York State Fair, we got approached by New York State Ags and Market to help establish what was called the Voice of the Farmer Garden. And it's basically another way to have this conversation with people about agriculture. Because every ensuing generation moves further and further from the farm. And just to give you an idea, Onondaga County, we're number 10 in agriculture in the entire state. In a county with about 480,000 people in it, 0.1% of our county population actually farms. Yet they feed 250,000 people every year, which is incredible. So, Voice of the Farmer Garden, we need a way to have those conversations with people to kind of bring them back to the farm, to remember what their grandparents did and develop an appreciation for what modern agriculture looks like. So when they're deciding on electing certain people and those regulations, those laws that are going to impact our ability to produce food, to be better educated and make better decisions.
We've been interviewing the Onondaga Farm Fest folks
We did that too.
We've been doing we've interviewed half a dozen farmers here in the last 2 or 3 months. And it's interesting that it is here and it is local and need an education on that.
So I was a guy on the back of the wagon down in Navarino Orchards for 5 hours talking to people because the owner, this is his time of the year to make money, and Vinny Cigarino, great guy.
Wonderful place over there. Beautiful.
Developed a great business, and so we lent him a hand and kind of help him talk to the public about things.
That's great. Does New York State make it difficult for people to farm here, agriculture?
I would say from a regulatory standpoint, yes, that is when we sit down and talk to the farmers about their modern challenges. Labor always floats to the top, trying to help farm workers. But boy, I talked to some farmers that are telling me that, at the end of the month, guess how many reports I have to do to regulatory agencies? 26.
At least they can use old tires to, that's right.
Diesel fuel to keep their orchards from freezing. No, we don't.
Can't use tires. Get all these rules that maybe come from the top, but the top doesn't know what the bottom looks like.
Well, listen, some of that stuff is legit. I mean, I look at our farmers; they're very conscientious about the environment. It's basically every time we get a good idea and we're trying to promote something, it's another report you have to do. And so one of the things that we work at with farmers is how to be more streamlined and come up with ways to deal with that. But
how do you get paid?
How do we make money for Cornell Cooperative Extension? So about 15% of our budget comes from support from Onondaga County. And I got to tell you, the county is just fabulous in supporting agriculture and food systems. They're really good at that. And their support for us has increased. We're actually at budgeting time this year, so I'm glad we're getting a little shout out. We like to see all that support continue. But the balance of it comes from competing for grants and contracts.
Okay.
Okay. Was there anything else burning in your soul that you'd like to talk about before we close up?
Well, I'll give a shout out for maple because you guys started on maple. And I'll tell you, so for my years of being a forester, the very best sugar maple, hard maple that grows on the planet Earth grows in Onondaga County.
That's wonderful.
Central New York is kind of the wood basket of the world. We grow the finest hardwoods. We have a great native forest system that we work with. Everybody asks, do you plant trees? The answer is no, we don't. We depend on natural regeneration. So shout out to maple, one of my favorite trees. And
Helen Thomas, executive director. You probably met Helen. They are great folks. We've been connected with them probably going on 10 years, long time. And it's just amazing. We've met so many farmers and maple producers, and they're amazing folks. So thank you for joining us today.
Man, 9 minutes did go by. You weren't kidding.
That's Dave Skeval right there from Cornell Cooperative Extension. And since it's budgeting time, we'll have you back anytime. Get some budget and bring it with you.
Yeah, we'll let you talk as much as you want.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Jim Deakins is coming up next, owner of Crossroads Auction. Keep it right here on 570 WSYR 106.9 FM.